Hey y'all, so welcome back to Knit This Mess. My name is Angela and I am a knitter, crocheter, reader, and writer in Houston, Texas. Welcome to another kind of overcast day. It's never sunny at the right time, but we are lucky in that there's no construction going on across the street at this moment, so it's quiet. That of course can change at any moment. So if you are new here, I started this channel as a way to keep myself accountable and keep myself motivated with my knitting and my crocheting, and also to help myself maybe get organized and start keeping track of things in a journal at least, because I don't use the Ravelry tools. I used to a long time ago, but it got hard to keep up with, and I just kind of, and then I was off of Ravelry for a while, so now I just mostly use it to find new patterns that I want to make. But so as a result, none of my stash is indexed anymore, but I am getting better about keeping track of my projects in my knitting journal, which is all covered with knitting related stickers. My little knitting gnome there. So let's get the journal, and I got a lot to talk to you about today. I've got a bunch of finished projects. I'm going to talk to you about what I'm planning to make next, and what I'm planning to take with me to work on my upcoming trip to Canada, where I'm going to be going in September. I'm meeting up with a friend, and we're going to Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and New Brunswick. And we're going to drive around and see a lot of things and eat a lot of things. And we're going to go to Woolstock East, which is a yarn festival taking place in New Glasgow at the Pictou Wellness Center. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'll find out when I get there. But I've knit a couple things I'm going to take with me, and let's just get into it. So last time I mentioned that I was working on a ranunculus, my very first ranunculus, and here it is, all finished, all blocked. I made this with one strand of fingering and one strand of Surrey alpaca, I believe, held together. No, Kid Silk Mohair from Porter Wool Company in the colorway. Well, I wrote it down and now I lost it. I believe it's Wild Rose, something rose. But anyway, I made my first ranunculus, and it's I just knit it until the yarn ran out. And so my ribbon at the bottom is a little bit shorter than the pattern calls for. And it's a cropped top, which I don't usually do cropped, but needs must. So anyway, it's a lovely soft, look at that halo, and it's a lovely soft, airy layer, which I'm planning to take this with me to Canada. I think it'll be nice to toss on over a shirt and have that little layer of warmth under a jacket at night. When I tell you I played Yarn Chicken, it was a photo finish. I was at the end in the last few rows. I was going, I can get one more row of ribbing. I can get one more row out of this, one more row. And then I got to the point where I said to myself, time to bind off. And I bound off, and oh man, I was at that last few stitches. Like I was in the last, like this much of it bind. Oh my gosh. I got to the end, bound off the last stitch with seriously this much yarn, this much of the fingering weight left. I had this much of the kid silk mohair left. I haven't even weighed it because I'm pretty sure it weighs less than a gram. I don't think it weighs anything. But that is all I had left for it. I didn't even have anything to snip off after I wove the ends in, because I was doing that thing where you put the needle through where you want it to go, and then you thread the needle and pull it through. And I did that at each end. So there was literally nothing to snip off at the end. Nothing, not a crumb. So that was my first ranunculus. And I loved it so much. I had so much fun, and I was digging through my considerable stash. This is a fraction of it. That's like maybe, I don't know, I don't even know if that's a fourth of it. But I was digging through some old stuff, and I found 6 balls of Debbie Bliss Amalfi in this brown color. So I made myself another ranunculus, because I was like, well, I've had this yarn literally for years. I've had this yarn for years because I never knew what to do with it, but I found it for $4 a skein. You can see there. And I knew I wanted to do something with it, and I thought the right pattern would come along. And really the only thing that I could make with it, honestly, is a ranunculus. I will say the yarn's a little bit splitty. It is a combination of 70% cotton, 15% viscose, 10% linen, and 5% silk. And it's kind of like a heavy DK, maybe a light worsted weight, I think. And it's, but it makes a very nice summer weight, spring, well, maybe not for Houston, but most places it would be a summer weight top. And it's fine as long as you're inside in the air conditioning, I think. But I got this yarn. Sadly, it's a discontinued yarn, so I won't be linking it in the description. But I got this at a shop here in Houston called the Texas Art Asylum. And it's an arts and craft thrift store, basically. And I think they call them makers shops or makers thrift. There's different words for them in different places. And you have to go in every now and then and see what they've got, because it changes all the time depending on what people donate. And it's really cool. It's just south of downtown. It's called Texas Art Asylum, and they have everything from fabric to yarn to cigar boxes and markers and paints and beads and buttons and embroidery canvas, needlepoint canvas, cross stitch linen, threads. If you can use it, big barrels of corks, if you can use it to make something, they have it. Glitter, I mean, of course. And I think once a week, they have a special time when they're open just for teachers, just for educators to come in and get stuff that they need for their classes and stuff. So, and I think they offer classes sometimes. I don't know. You'd have to check out their website, and I'll link their website in the description. But yeah, so Debbie Bliss Amalfi, another ranunculus, and this one I put a little bit of a sleeve on it because I didn't want it more. I didn't want that kind of floppy open thing. I wanted a little more tailored, and it's a little bit longer than the other one because, again, I got down about to the high waist area, and then I did my sleeves because I knew what I wanted for the sleeve area, and then the rest of it I just did the body until I ran out. And I did have a little bit left over, but like a few yards. That's it. So so yeah, that's another ranunculus. And I think I don't know if I'm going to take this one with me on the trip or not. Haven't decided yet. Another thing I'm taking on my trip, I looked in my knitting basket, and I had started a neon nectar sweater last fall because it's the yarn I bought And this is another discontinued yarn, sadly, but it's Lily & Pine Daylily Sock in the color Peace and Love. And the sweater is the Neon Nectar sweater from Wool & Pine Designs. And it's very soft and squishy. And I found this in my knitting basket, and it was so ridiculous. All I had left to do was about 3 inches of one cuff and bind off that cuff and weave in the ends. That was all I had left to do. I have not blocked this yet, but I did a little something different. So the sweater, as written, is slightly cropped and has very long sleeves. And ordinarily I would be lengthening the body because I have a long torso, and shortening the sleeves because I have short little T-Rex arms. But I decided to go with the cropped body and long sleeves just to do a little something different. And I think it'll be really cute with high-waisted jeans. But here's my second Neon Nectar. And I'm very pleased with it, and I'm taking this with me. It'll look really cute under my pink denim jacket. And this sweater, because I have another one, and I just wear it in the wintertime. I wear it like a sweatshirt. I just throw it on over anything, and it's cozy. So that's my third finished object. And then my last finished object for this time, and another thing I'm taking on the trip with me, is a pair of fingerless mitts. Now this pattern is the Della Mitt by Holly Terrell, and it's a free download on Ravelry, and I made it with the Botanical Yarns Knit City Calgary sock set. So this was a show colorway, and the main color, and I hardly used any of it, but this is the main color, and it came with 2 additional colors. It came with this kind of orchid purple, which I obviously did not use, and this kind of yellowy green, which I used to do a little trim at the tips. So I did make a mistake. I did make a mistake. I did make an alteration as well. So this, I lengthened this part because I wanted it to come farther up my arm, kind of like a gauntlet length more, because like I said, I like my sweater sleeves short. So I wanted something that would come up and go under the sweater sleeve, and then the sweater would come down over it, even if the sweater just comes down to here. So I made that. And I did make a mistake on the upper part, the hand part, this lacy bit. I was supposed to do 3 straight rows between the eyelets, and I did 2. So it has more, the lace is kind of shortened. It's the holes appear more often, right? And I didn't notice that until I was almost finished with the first mitt, and I was not going to go back on it then, and I was like, you know what, it looks fine. So I just did the other one the same way so that they matched. And anyway, so here are my finished and blocked Della mitts. And yes, I'll link the pattern and the yarn. I'll put a link to Botanical Yarns and a link to the pattern down below. And that's it. I'm very pleased with those, and they blocked out very nicely with the little points. I do recommend when you're casting on, because you cast on down here, give yourself a very stretchy cast on with and go up at least 1 needle size, so that your points will lay flat nicely. All right. There are my finished objects for this time. There's one more thing that I want to make before I leave for my trip, and that's a hat. And I think I know which hat I'm going to make. I don't know. I haven't committed completely, so I'm not going to say. But this is what I'm going to do the hat with. And this is, I showed this to y'all after I came back from my Rhinebeck trip, because I got these at Cakepalooza. They're from Fashion School Dropout Yarn Company. And this was their Soho, this is their Soho sock base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It's a 2-ply, and it's 63 yards, and it was the show colorway called Happy Cake. And I'm going to hold it together with their Surrey alpaca and silk lace, which is 74% baby Surrey alpaca and 26% silk in the colorway Hot to Go. So I think those will be really pretty held together. And when I was there over at India Untangled, I found this pom-pom, which I think will look very nice with it. It's kind of a coral color. It's hard to tell. The color, the light here is terrible today. And I don't know if I can make it any better. I don't know, does that help any? Probably not. Anyway, I'm gonna do a hat. And I think that this hat will look very nice with this sweater. So, yes. Everybody's gonna see me coming. All right, that's what I'm gonna work on. And that's my immediate future plans. Now on the trip, I'm gonna be gone for a little over 2 weeks. And then there's travel, there's flights, because I have to fly. There's no direct flights from here to there. So I'm gonna have to, I got a couple different flights. Have plenty of airport and airplane knitting to do. So I'm gonna take 2 projects, 2 single skein projects. So this is a yarn that I bought at Rhinebeck last year. And it's a beautiful, it's got this kind of acid green and rose and coral and greens and browns. And it's from Avalon Springs Farm Pendragon yarn. It is 100% superwash merino, and it's 555 yards in the colorway Briganti Goddess. And I'm going to do a triangular scarf, like an elongated triangle, kind of similar to the shape of a hitchhiker, but without the jagged edge. And I'm gonna do some assigned pooling with some of the pink in a kind of a flower, to make it look like flowers in a meadow. So I'm gonna have some fun with that. And that's gonna be kind of experimental. We'll see how that turns out. It might not turn out, but that's okay, because I'll have another project with me. And this is Earth Yarn's Unique Fingering, and it's a self-striping yarn. And I just love it because it's got all these colors. It's got purple and like a magenta and a fuchsia. It's greens, different shades of greens, different shades of blues, turquoise, yellow, orange, gray. It's got a little bit of everything in it. I don't know if the color has a name. No, it's color 3010. But and this is 435 yards, 100% superwash merino. And now I know I said I wasn't going to do another Musselburgh hat because it was just mindless knitting, which I'm not a huge fan of just mindless knitting. But I think for travel knitting, mindless knitting is a great way to go. So I think I'm going to do a Musselburgh hat with this. And again, we'll see how it turns out. It might be a disaster. But that's okay. If they're both disasters, then I'll just pick up something else at the yarn show and add a third disaster to the pile. Maybe. I am very excited about going to the show. My friend is Canadian and she's not super thrilled about the idea of coming to the States at the moment, and I can't say I blame her. But the last couple of years I've been going up there and meeting her we went to Knit City East, we went to Knit City West, and we were going to go to the show in Seattle recently, and then we always go to Rhinebeck. We've been doing that for 13 years, or this would have been the 13th year. And with the exception of the pandemic, we haven't missed, and it feels strange not to be going up there. But she said, why don't you come here and we'll travel around, and because she's never been to PEI or New Brunswick either, so it'll be fun. We're gonna explore Halifax. We're gonna stay in a cottage on the beach for a while. It's just gonna be a lot of fun, and I'm very excited about that. And one of the things I am really enjoying about all these Canadian shows that I've been going to and I'll be going to is discovering new dyers and yarn producers that I've never seen before. And I'm really excited about a few of the makers, a few of the producers that I'll be seeing at the upcoming show. And I've mentioned my gigantic stash, my ridiculous stash acquired beyond life expectancy stash. So because I'm going to be flying and it has to fit in my suitcase, I'm not going to be going overboard. I want to make a couple of vests, like cabled vests that I can wear over a shirt and under a jacket in the wintertime, and a vest is a good option here in Houston because it gives you a little bit of warmth without being too much, like a heavy sweater would be. So I'm looking for some yarn to do that with. I thought I was going to do that with some yarn that I picked up at Rhinebeck this last year, but it was too much speckle, too much variegation, and it just, I wanted something simpler. It's a more simple color, a more solid color. And so I'm going to be on the lookout for a couple of things for that. And then there's I want to pick up some fiber from one of the vendors who's going to be there. I have gotten back into spinning recently. I was watching a YouTuber talk about her tour de fleece spinning, and I've never done tour de fleece because I spin, but it's in the summer. The tour de fleece is in the summer, and it gets really hot. It's kind of hot to work with fiber like that in Houston in the summer. But she just got me, she was having so much fun with it, and I was thinking, I could do that. I should spin. So I came in here, I grabbed my Ashford wheel, took it into the living room, came back, found a a drawer full of fiber, and it's actually right here. I have in my closet, I have a giant tub that's nothing but fiber. But I grabbed one of my spinning braids. So a few years ago, I did a subscription to the Blue Moon Fiber Arts Roving Club, and I got a new braid, a new 8-ounce, I think they're 8 ounces, but a big braid every couple of months. And I did that for about a year. So I've got about 6 of their braids. Here's one of them. This is Targi. Really pretty. That's plastic. There we go. So see all the purples and the greens and blues. So yeah, I'll get around to that one. But the one I'm doing now, it's in the other room. It's on the wheel. I don't want to bring it in here. But it's an autumn one. It's got like blue and brown and green and a little bit of pops of gold. But I think I'm going to get about 800 yards out of that. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe I'll make something for my husband because it's not really my colors. But we'll see. But yeah, I've got a bunch of these bullseye bumps from Loop that I've picked up at Rhinebeck over the years. This is merino nylon and Angelina, so it's got a little sparkle in it. Take my word for it, there's sparkle. But yeah, I've got just tons of fiber, and I just, so I need to get back into spinning. I've got a bunch from I also have a bunch from Into the World because I did their fiber club for a while. So I even have some fiber that I picked up when I was in Iceland. So yeah, I've got plenty to spin. So I don't plan to go overboard, but there's one producer who I hope to get something from. And that should be fun. So yeah, those are my plans for my trip. Now, when I get back from my trip, oh, look, here's some of the fiber that I haven't spun up yet. This is the one that I'm spinning now. It's got the greens and blues and golds and browns. So yeah. So I have this poncho. This is the Traveler Poncho by Dawn Barker, this was designed as an Advent pattern. And you may know Dawn Barker. She does a lot of those ones with the assigned pooling techniques. But I'm doing this with a couple of Hue Loco mini sets. And yeah, this is mindless knitting, and I'm just working on this now just because I just want it done. I've been working on it for a couple of years and off and on, and I just want it done. So I'm working on that at the moment, but I'm gonna ditch that after I finish with you here. I'm gonna wind up those 2 skeins I showed you and do my hat. The other thing that I'm working on, and it's hibernating at the moment. I was working on it up until a couple of weeks ago, but this is the Joji Locatelli Elton cardigan that came out a few years ago, and my friend and I each bought a kit for it from Neighborhood Fiber Company. They had kits when the pattern first came out, and she grabbed, I can't remember what color she got, but I think it was like some kind of bright pink. I got, my color is Reservoir Hill, which is a neighborhood in Baltimore. All of Neighborhood Fiber Company's yarns are named after neighborhoods in the Baltimore, DC area. I think the one that she got was called Rock Creek Park, which I was a little bit jealous of because I used to live right by Rock Creek Park. But anyway, it's a tonal dark blue. I don't know, you can't really see the color here, but it's almost kind of it's got a lot of depth to it. And I finished the body. I had stalled out at the point where I'd gotten the body about this far from the bottom. So one day I was in here moving stuff around and I found it. I said, I'm just gonna finish this. So I finished the body, I did the ribbing, I did the button band and the buttonhole band, I did the neck, the collar. That just, all I have left to do are the sleeves. And I started the first sleeve, but it's, you know, you're working it in the round, and I don't mind working in the round. That's actually my preferred way to do socks, but I don't like knitting that alpaca lace or the mohair lace in the round on these little needles. That's not fun. And I'm also a little bit discouraged by it because when I started this project, I was a smaller size. And now I think I'm going to be finishing this and it might not fit me. So, but you know, I'm committed now. I got to finish it. Not today, eventually. And we'll just see what aggressive blocking can accomplish. But yeah, so those are kind of two of the things I've got going on. But the thing that I really want to do, there are a couple of patterns, scrap yarn patterns that I really want to do. And that's what I want to work on over the holidays. So what I want to do when I get back from my trip, and I'll do a video. I don't think I'll be able to do another video before I leave, but I'll do a video when I get back from my trip. I'll show you what I got. And then I want to start going through my whips. I need to gather my whips, go through them and figure out what I'm going to finish and what I'm going to frog. I've been seeing a lot of those videos lately and it's got me very motivated to do one of those videos of my own and maybe get some things finished. There are lots of halves of socks in my whips, I'm pretty sure. But, and a couple of tops and a few shawls. So we'll get into it when I get back, and maybe I'll finish up a couple of things. I also need to start deep diving my stash. This was a stash deep dive project, and the spinning that I'm doing right now was a stash deep dive project. So I need to do more stash deep dives, and ideally I would alternate between a whip and a stash deep dive project, maybe a new project, just kind of keep things moving, not just say I'm not going to do anything except whips for the next 6 months. I don't want to do that. But maybe I can't cast on something new until I finish a whip. And then every time I finish, I don't know, I need to, first I need to assess how many whips I have that I'm going to finish, how many I'm going to rip out. I can think of a couple offhand that I want to rip out and start over, but we'll get to those when we get to them. I don't want to start getting ahead of myself. Right now, I need to focus on winding the yarn I'm going to take on my trip, winding the yarn for the hat I want to make to take on my trip, and getting that hat done. and getting my needles and notions together for the trip. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my trip knitting. I'm looking forward to making my hat. I'm just looking forward to a lot of things. And I hope you are too. And I hope that wherever you are, you have better lighting and better weather than we are having in Houston today. And I will see y'all when I get back from Canada. Bye, y'all.